You're not working, so you must have plenty of free time." That was Tony, my husband, saying it with such a casual tone, as if what he was asking was nothing at all. He suggested I take care of our grandchild, just to ease the burden on Ryan and Vanessa, our son and daughter-in-law, who were apparently exhausted from parenting. I didn't argue. I nodded, just like I always had. "I'm Addison Rae. I'm 57 years old now, and once upon a time I used to work in the hospitality industry. I met Tony when I was fresh out of vocational school. He was a sales rep, always dressed neatly, with a charming confidence that made me fall for him fast. We got married when I was just 23. My father had warned me gently, maybe wait a little longer, get used to work life first. But I was head over heels. At the time, I thought love was enough. Looking back now, I understand why they were worried. Tony had only been working for 2 years himself. His income wasn't bad, but it wasn't anything special either. We were fine while both of us worked, but when I got pregnant, everything changed. I gave birth to our son Ryan at 25. I wanted to keep working, honestly. But I worked at a hotel, and most of my days off were during the week. Tony worked weekends a lot. Even when we got Ryan into daycare, weekends were still a problem. After many arguments, I finally gave in and became a full-time homemaker. Tony told me, "I'll work harder for Ryan's sake. I want you to be there for him." And he did work harder. He got promotions and recognition early, but that also meant he was never around. So I raised Ryan practically by myself. Over time, something shifted. Tony started belittling the work I did at home. I'd hear him joke with his colleagues or friends, saying things like, "Addison's just a housewife," like it was a punchline. Still, I didn't say anything. I told myself it was worth it, for Ryan. Years passed. Ryan grew up into a kind, intelligent man. He graduated from university without needing any loans, thanks to Tony's income and my budgeting. I was proud of him. Then one day, Ryan brought home his girlfriend, Vanessa. She was 27 at the time, 3 years younger than him. Beautiful in a soft, natural way and charming. From the moment she stepped into our house, she said the right things. While I was cooking, she came into the kitchen and said, "Wow, Mother, you're such a great cook. I hope you'll teach me someday." She was polite, thoughtful. Even Tony seemed impressed. "It's amazing she plans to keep working after marriage," he said, smiling, "unlike Addison, who's been a homemaker forever." That stung more than I let on, but I forced a smile, as always. Vanessa said she was bad at housework, and I actually found her honesty refreshing. I thought we might get along well. I even felt hopeful about our future relationship as in-laws. But I was wrong. As we spent more time together, I noticed things. Vanessa ate out most days. She hired a cleaning service twice a month. She did laundry once a week at most. That might be fine for someone living alone, but for a married couple? I worried. Ryan, too, had never lifted a finger in housework. I regretted not teaching him when he was young. If they were both going to work, they'd have to share the chores, but clearly they weren't prepared. Then one day, Tony suddenly suggested, "Why don't they live with us?" I was stunned. No young bride wants to live with her in-laws. I opened my mouth to protest, but before I could say anything, Ryan said, "Yeah, that might be good. We've got space, and Mom can help with the house." Tony was practically beaming. "It'll be fun, lively." I looked at Vanessa, expecting hesitation, but she smiled brightly and said, "Sure, if you'll handle the housework, that would really help." So that was that. In a single conversation, I became the full-time cook, cleaner, and soon-to-be babysitter, for free. At first, I convinced myself it was fine. Vanessa was sweet. Ryan was my only child. I wanted to be close to them. The first year was surprisingly peaceful. Vanessa and Ryan went to work every morning and came home around the same time in the evening. I had the house to myself during the day, so chores didn't feel overwhelming. There weren't any major arguments. I began to believe maybe, just maybe, we could live harmoniously under one roof. But then, 6 months after Vanessa gave birth to their first child, a beautiful little boy they named Kevin, things started to shift. Drastically. Tony was obsessed with Kevin, spoiling him with toys and attention. And I became the de facto nanny. 3 months after Vanessa returned to work from maternity leave, everything began to unravel. I don't know if it was stress, lack of sleep, or just pure entitlement, but Ryan and Vanessa changed. The warm smiles disappeared. The polite requests became demands, and their frustrations, they landed straight on me. Tony, in his usual tone, suggested one evening, "Why don't you watch Kevin for the weekend? Let Ryan and Vanessa get away for a couple of days." It wasn't really a suggestion. I never even heard about it until the night before. Tony had already offered my time without asking me. When I looked at him, confused, he simply shrugged. "You're not working anyway. It'll lighten their load." That phrase kept echoing in my head. "You're not working." What exactly did they think I had been doing all this time? Still, I said yes, because Kevin had started crying more often, and I worried that if his parents were stressed, the poor boy would suffer. I didn't want him to feel neglected. I thought, it's just a weekend. But that was my mistake. That one weekend became every weekend. Soon, I was responsible for Kevin every day. I carried him around in a sling while cooking, sweeping, and doing laundry. My back ached constantly. Vanessa never asked if I was okay. She just started to assume I'd be there, always. She stopped cooking. She stopped cleaning. Even their own bedroom became my responsibility. "Mom, our room's getting dusty. Can you clean it up?" Ryan would say, without a hint of embarrassment. "But you might have personal things in there," I'd say cautiously. Vanessa would chime in, "I'm really busy with work and taking care of Kevin. Please, Mother." Busy? She wasn't even there most of the time. Even meals became a problem. I'd spend hours preparing dinner, only for Ryan to come home and say, "We're ordering pizza." Or they'd arrive late and say, "Oh, we already ate out." When I asked Ryan to at least tell me if they didn't need dinner, he waved me off. "Dad's a manager, it's fine." I tried talking to Tony about it, thinking surely he'd understand, but he simply said, "You handle the household budget. It's your responsibility." That sentence broke something inside me. I wasn't even sure what I was to this family anymore. 3 years passed like that. Kevin was now in kindergarten. And just when I thought things couldn't get any more demanding, Vanessa had another baby, a little girl named Anna. The birth of a child should be a moment of joy, and it was, for about 2 days. Then the cycle repeated. Even before returning to work, Vanessa started leaving Anna's night feedings to me. She slept soundly while I stayed awake, cradling a crying newborn, while still making breakfast at 6 in the morning. Kevin, sensing the shift, began regressing. He threw tantrums, cried at night, and refused to go to school. I couldn't blame him. His parents barely spent time with him. And I, juggling an infant and a kindergartner, was stretched beyond my limit. I begged Ryan and Vanessa, "Please, just take care of the kids on your days off. Let me have a break on weekends so I can recharge." Ryan just looked at me and said, "Mom, you've always done housework. This isn't anything new." Vanessa added, "I'm working unlike you, so at least do this much." I couldn't believe my ears. Tony, hearing about the conversation, didn't defend me. He scolded me instead. "They're working hard. Let them focus on their careers." And just like that, my existence in the house shrank even more. Not a mother, not a wife, just a live-in maid and babysitter, for free. But the grandkids, they were the only reason I held on. Kevin and Anna, in their pure innocence, made my heart swell with love. They hugged me when I cried. They laughed when I made silly animal voices during story time. They were my light. Still, deep down, I knew something had to change. I was losing myself. When Anna turned 2 and Kevin 5, things got slightly easier. Kevin became a gentle big brother. Anna could form short sentences, and one weekend we were all home, for once. I remember looking around the living room. Tony was playing with Anna. Ryan and Vanessa were scrolling on their phones. Kevin was beaming, clearly happy to have everyone home. I thought to myself, maybe all my hard work was worth it. A rare peace washed over me. I smiled, excused myself to do some grocery shopping, and left with a light heart. Shopping without kids was quick. I thought I'd use the extra time to prepare a special dinner. Maybe lasagna. Kevin loved it. I imagined his wide eyes when he saw it. I got home an hour later, entered quietly through the kitchen door, and heard voices in the living room. They hadn't noticed I was back. Then I heard Ryan's voice. "Do we even need that maid anymore?" I froze. Vanessa giggled. "Calling her a maid, Ryan? That's mean." "She dumped the kids on us today just to go shopping. Seriously, she's useless." Tony's voice cut in. "A nagging maid who can't even handle 2 kids. We'd be better off alone." My hands trembled. The grocery bag slipped from my fingers. I stood there in the kitchen, hiding behind the fridge, trying to catch my breath. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw every single dish in the sink. But instead, I stood frozen. The people I cooked for, cleaned for, cared for, called me a burden, a maid. In that moment, everything inside me shut down. I quietly walked upstairs, packed a small bag, and left the house. I didn't leave a note. I didn't slam the door. I didn't want them to know. I checked into a hotel nearby, heart pounding. The silence in the room was deafening. Later that evening, Tony texted me. "Where are you? Why did you leave the groceries like that? Are you crazy?" That was it. No, "Are you okay?" No concern, just annoyance. I turned off my phone. And that night, I made a decision. From this moment forward, I was going to live for myself. I found a small, sunlit apartment not far from Emily's studio. Nothing fancy, but it had everything I needed. A clean kitchen, peace and quiet, and most importantly, space that was entirely mine. I took a part-time job at a cozy cafe nearby while continuing to help Emily at the cooking school. The rhythm of this new life slowly wrapped around me like a warm blanket. Each day felt lighter than the one before. I was no longer waking up to cries, guilt, or someone else's expectations. I woke up to the smell of coffee, the hum of my own thoughts, and finally, my own dreams. Emily, ever the supportive friend, offered me a full-time instructor role after one of her employees resigned. I hesitated at first, but she looked me in the eye and said, "Addison, you're not just good, you're meant for this." And for the first time in decades, I believed her. I started my own blog too. Nothing complicated, just daily menus, simple recipes, little stories about cooking for children, for husbands who don't cook, for women who forgot how much fun the kitchen could be. Slowly, people began to follow. Some left comments like, "I tried this dish for my grandkids. They loved it." Others wrote, "Reading your story reminds me of my mother." That kind of joy? It's a different kind of paycheck. About 6 months after my divorce, I received a phone call. It was Tony. I didn't want to pick up. But something, curiosity maybe, pushed my finger toward the green button. "Addison," he began, I just wanted to talk." He didn't ask how I was. Didn't ask if I was okay. He went straight into complaining. "Vanessa and Ryan are burning through all our money. I told them to slow down, but they won't listen. I thought with you gone they'd step up, but they're just making it worse." I stayed silent, letting him dig his own hole. He kept going. "I tried to manage everything on my own, but I ended up borrowing some funds from the company. Just temporarily. I was going to pay it back." I closed my eyes. He didn't need to say the rest. I already knew. "And they found out," he confessed. "The company let me go quietly. Said it was for retirement, but everyone knows." Then almost sheepishly he said, "I was wondering, would you consider coming back? Maybe even remarrying?" I laughed. Not loudly, not mockingly, but with a kind of disbelief that sits in your chest when someone says something so absurd it's almost pitiful. "You want me to come back and fix your life?" I asked. "No," he said, "it's not like that." "Then what's it like, Tony?" I asked. "You called me a maid. You let Ryan and Vanessa insult me. You kicked me out. And now suddenly I'm supposed to rescue you?" He didn't have an answer. I reminded him of this note I had left the day I signed the divorce papers. A small notebook. Plain, unassuming. He had never even opened it. That wasn't just a diary. It was a budget book. Detailed records of our household expenses. Groceries, school supplies, utilities, even Vanessa's takeout bills, every cent. "Do you know why we never sank into debt, Tony?" I asked. "Because I worked behind the scenes, quietly, without pay, without appreciation." Tony didn't say a word. "If you want to hire me as a maid now," I said, "I'll send you an invoice." And with that, I hung up. He tried again later, but I blocked the number. A few weeks later, Ryan reached out. "Mom," he said, "we need help. Vanessa and I are working so much, and the kids, they're struggling." I took a deep breath. "You told me I was a useless maid who didn't earn a penny," I said calmly. "So why do you need me now?" He didn't respond. "I hope you figure it out, Ryan. I really do. But this time you're the parent. Do your job." And I ended the call. That was the last I heard from any of them. Through whispers and third-hand gossip, I heard that their finances were spiraling. Ryan and Vanessa had taken on debt. Tony was scraping by with odd jobs, but couldn't hold anything steady. Kevin and Anna were reportedly doing okay, but I knew in my heart they were probably confused, missing the stability they once had. It wasn't easy. I missed those kids more than I could say, but I had made a decision. I wasn't going to raise a second generation of people who didn't value me. I was finally living my life on my own terms. I had a career I loved, a home I made for myself. I could buy flowers for my kitchen table just because I wanted to. I could leave dishes in the sink overnight if I felt like it, and I didn't have to apologize for being tired or ask permission to rest. I thought back to all those years when being a housewife meant moving like a shadow, quiet, unnoticed, and constantly adjusting to everyone else's needs. It's not that being a housewife isn't valuable. It's that we, as women, are often taught that it's only valuable when someone else says thank you. But what about us? What about the thank you we never gave ourselves? If I could go back, I'd tell my younger self this. You are not just a maid. You are not just a housewife. You are not just someone's anything. You are Addison Rae, and you matter. And I'd tell every woman listening, if your love, your work, your sacrifices are invisible, it's okay to walk away. You are allowed to start over. You are allowed to live.